In the summer of 2021, we saw the return of iCarly, now in the form of a more adult show for Paramount+. On the channel, we ended up covering every single episode of the show, episode to episode, and it turned out to be mostly fun. But a lot of improvements would for sure be needed if this revival series was to 1. Have a reason to come back, and 2. Stay for a while. Now that season 2 of the series is officially over, let's talk about if the show took the necessary steps to build upon the better things from the first season, or if we were given a lot more of the same with little improvement.
It's official. The internet hates me.
Oh wow. Babe, wake up! New Jordan Fringe iCarly video just dropped.
Oh look, it's the ad part. Interesting. Surfshark VPN is, well, a VPN, a virtual private network. It'll help you secure your digital life at an already great price, especially by using my code at the link down below. You'll get an incredible deal. Surfshark offers one of the best full coverage VPN packages out there, with use of an unlimited number of devices that can all run under one subscription at the same time. Literally as many devices as you want. With apps available on all platforms, PC, Mac, the Linux users out there, even smart TVs, video game consoles, web browsers, you name it, Surfshark has you completely covered. All along with 24/7 live customer support and a full 30-day money-back guarantee to make sure you know it's risk-free by giving them a shot. As well as their strictly no logs policy, which encrypts your data, meaning that they do not keep any of it, nor does anyone know what you're doing online. A nice security measure in the digital age. Want to watch something that isn't streaming in your country, like perhaps iCarly like we're discussing in today's video? No problem. Just connect to any of the servers Surfshark has around the world and you'll be able to access libraries of content otherwise not available in your country. It's fast and easy to use, filled with features that go beyond just the basics with a regular VPN. If you want to protect yourself online while browsing as well as help support the channel, again, you can get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deal/JordanFringe and enter promo code JordanFringe for 83% off and an extra 3 months for free. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video.
It was a lot better than I expected.
Now, I know I've been receiving comments week after week looking for coverage on the show. However, I wanted to take a better approach to looking at the series for season 2, have a better structure, and give out content related to it that is truly worthwhile. So now that the entirety of season 2 is out, I wanted to give my thoughts. Let's start off with the first big question. Is season 2 an improvement upon season 1 of the show? And the answer to that is yes, significantly. The show really took its time to look at the foundation and tone set with season 1 and make sure to restructure a few things to first and foremost remind us why it's iCarly and not just Carly. A big criticism from the first season is the lack of iCarly or anything relating back to the web show. Yeah, it was mentioned and shown here and there, but it always felt more of an afterthought rather than an incorporation. Here, while it is structured differently from the original series, iCarly, the web show, is in fact a bigger plot point, with it being mentioned more, plots revolving around aspects of it more, and all around feeling the presence of the show in the show. It felt like Carly was constantly having a purpose for the show in mind for a lot of the decisions or ideas she'd have, partially feeding into the whole YouTube culture of things, specifically pointless online drama and stan culture right off the bat in the first episode, which, funny enough, deals with the whole apology video thing, kinda. In fact, the first episode really quickly ties up that love triangle set up last season with Bo, Wes, and Carly, and Freddy as well, where the pseudo cliffhanger who will she pick ending was quickly turned into picking neither of them, as the two of them go and become friends and Carly has to save face online to fake a relationship with Freddy to get back at them for going after her, saying that she's mean and an awful person. And now the relationship that Carly and Freddy have to have really harkens back to the two of them in the original series, but now with a more, hey, we've grown up perspective. And I think it was important this season to start off strong and kind of write off the less interesting and less important aspects that the first season had, which a majority of fans weren't too interested in or just plain out didn't like. It refocused the narrative and tightened the cast back up, opening room for new and fun one-off characters, but more importantly, great and meaningful cameos and role reprisals from legacy iCarly characters. In episode 2, Lubert makes his return, taking iCarly to court mainly for the messin' with Lubert segment from the original show, for emotional distress, success, wrongful injury, and somehow for Lubert losing his wart. Here we see testimonies from other characters returning, like Chuck Chambers, since he already has a great dislike of the Shays and is really there for his own related revenge, specifically on Spencer. We even got Guppy coming back, saying more words this time aside from happy birthday. But of course, we still had to hear him say it at least once.
Happy birthday!
Now, there has been a big lingering question about Gibby and if he'd ever return or make a cameo in the show, and while he had actually been approached to return with nothing from his camp responding, it does seem like there is a door open for him to come back if he wants to say yes to it.
Gimme!
And that offer seems to extend to almost any legacy character. If you'd like a deeper dive into Noah Monk and his personal reasons for probably not returning as Gibby, I'd recommend this video here from Patrick CC. It's extremely well done. Also, they bring back the whole Lubert and Miss Benson romantic arc and take it to a really crazy, uncomfortable level for Freddy, and that's wonderful. We also see another character return in the 4th episode, and that's Grandpa Shay. Here, making a return visiting Spencer and Carly, expanding and changing parts of his original personality, I believe for the better, and having an actual payoff for Spencer and his relationship. Heading back to more topical parallels to internet culture today, the episode that brings in Josh Peck is all about him being a talent manager and producer with modern-day internet tactics to help grow and revitalize the iCarly brand, causing him and Freddy to constantly butt heads throughout the episode. Speaking of Freddy, last season he really felt more sidelined and only used for the butt of the joke, and constant misfortunes for him and his life almost seems like it was spiraling down constantly. But we left him on a hopeful note with his new Kevin app idea, so let's talk about him as well as the rest of the characters and how they are in season 2.
Up next, more iCarly. Now here's more iCarly.
Let's start with Freddy himself. Clearly, they weren't sure what to do with Freddy for the majority of season 1, but in season 2, he's no longer just a B-plot Benson sideline character. He has much more of a purpose directly relating to the episode's main stories. And even if they lean that more towards the B-plot of the episode, it never felt unimportant to the grander story or plots, and always felt encompassed with the others. And they gave him a good haircut this time. He deals with being a father, a relationship slightly toned down to be less "I am your father" like last season, but more natural, wanting to make sure he does right by Millicent, even trying to take the steps to move out of his mom's apartment to give this fresh new start feeling for their life, especially since in the first episode, he's found himself a love interest aside from Carly with Pearl. She has similar interests as Freddy and working with him on the Kevin app as a certified animal therapist. While she is a new character, I do feel bad that sometimes when she is there, she's very much just being there, not really overly involved in it and everyone's situations, and not really fleshed out as a character too much. But the times we see her and Freddy alone are pretty great, and I'm happy that Freddy is finally getting some dubs this season. Millicent, which a lot of people weren't really liking her character in the first season, is a lot better here. While I do think her abrasiveness and constant teardown attitude was a lot to take in at the start, especially for a new character, towards the end of the first season her character started finding the right tone to take her in. Season 2, she's pretty much figured that out. The right amount of going at the rest of the crew and the right amount of character building to give her more purpose on the show. Spencer is, well, still perfect. His character is still the top reason to watch this show, as not only will he deliver the biggest laughs and physical comedy commitment in the show, he's also the heart of the show. Yeah, I know it's iCarly, but I said what I said. He finds himself trying to have more purpose than just being rich now, re-sparking that want for creativity, either in the way of his art, or more prominent now, having his own restaurant by purchasing the Groovy Smoothie. He also has the best, funniest, most out-of-pocket joke ever told on the show that I was not expecting and literally had me dying of laughter for several minutes.
And if Carly really is a helicopter sister, well then I'm the pilot inside of her.
You what?
I had to pause the show to contain myself. Jerry Trainer is the gift that just keeps on giving. Carly, while still trying to figure out the world as an adult, is a lot more Carly than ever, bringing back more of her character from the original show, but now even more of a naive yet hopeful nature as she wants to do big things with iCarly, break out of her comfort zone, and overall the glue that keeps everything in the show together. Not much to really say, as the character is just more of the character, which is is fine. I am glad at least it didn't bring the character back into the vessel of the romantic-based story like last season. Once was fine, but I'd rather see Carly explore more of the modern-day internet side of her show and what she wants from that. Harper, however, I think had substantial improvement. And what I mean by that is now she feels so much more at home with this cast. Where last season it's about getting to know her and how she fits into all of this, and now it just feels natural. Her character feels nicely incorporated with the rest of the cast, and their relationships feel like they've known each other for a long time. While she still brings that over-the-top dramatic tone to her dealings with the fashion world and her own love life, she definitely becomes a strong support for Carly. Her relationship we end on with Dutch in season 1 is quickly pushed aside in season 2, as Dutch is away traveling, and due to her commitments that she has, she can't spend time back in Seattle with Harper, so it puts a big pause on their relationship. Harper fills this time with starting to become a bit of a role model for Millicent, a helper in Carly being less closed in and open to trying new things and to live a little, as well as a friend to Spencer, and for herself, soul searching for what she truly wants. So for this season in general, it felt genuinely nice to be around all of these characters, how their individual stories play out and intersect. With the first season, it was fun being reintroduced to their lives, but now rather than dealing with them finding their footing, this felt like I was hanging out with a familiar bunch of people. By the end of this season, the characters have a lot of fun playing to the audience, especially for the Freddy stands out there. It's Freddy's birthday, so the crew is planning a murder mystery party, all with fun costumes to wear, which puts Carly in an interesting situation, truly knowing Freddy way deeper than Pearl does. It gets funnier when Pearl dresses up as Richard Nixon, in which Freddy is still terrified of Richard Nixon. Remember the original show when Nora trapped them in the basement and at one point donned a Richard Nixon mask? Yeah, he isn't over that. But the finale spices things up for the characters, as the real mystery other than the game is once again a love-related triangle, but done not only better than last year's finale, but between main characters, and to be fair to Pearl, she has been here all season to develop her relationship with Freddy. Pearl isn't shown as usual though, and maybe this is just a case of us not really getting enough time to see how she truly is with Freddy, but this episode definitely showcases an almost purposeful failure to know all about Freddy and what he likes, cause she clearly does not. Literally at every point getting everything wrong for the party, all from the get-go of planning it. Carly does her best to make Pearl look good and truly makes the party great for Freddy, but this only drives Pearl further away as she sees how well Carly knows him and covers all bases to fix the party. When Pearl hears slightly out of context that she'll never know Freddy as well as Carly, she makes a statement about how clear it is to see that they are in love with each other, causing her to leave the party, thus putting this awkward big decision in front of everyone. So the parallel to last season is clearly there, only this time to a point that directly relates to the bigger picture, it seems. This is how the season ends, on another cliffhanger, but one that I feel way more invested in since this season started out really looking into the will they won't they of Freddy, and how that could work even if it was to just put on a show. But now we see more push from Carly's side of things with how her true emotions may be masked under the guise of a really good friendship where she just wanted to make him happy. It sure is a very fascinating spot to leave the season. It felt purposeful rather than for the sake of something big and drama-filled to end it on, unless season 3 starts off like this season did and writes off the cliffhanger so fast you completely forget about what happened. But are there things still holding this series back? Is there ways that can help the show for a season 3 be even better than how season 2 has already improved? Also, just for fun, let's see how our old good pal Janiac Jr. likes the show so far. I'm sure he's very busy watching it himself right now.
You're a content creator, right?
Up next is iCarly on Nick.
Nickelodeon! Yeah!
While the series has drastically improved from season 1 to season 2, there is still some wiggle room to make season 3 even better, at least in my opinion. For one, the creatives making this show seem to take a lot of the feedback last year for season 1, and really incorporate fine-tuning the tone of the show back in. So don't be afraid to speak your thoughts on the show, not just in my comment section, but online, on Twitter, anywhere you can, because they are listening. I'll say though, my thoughts on them shifting back focus on the web show itself and online culture culture, while appreciated and definitely the right decision, it still feels a little too in the past, with the ideas of how it's incorporated and just the overall terminology. It felt less natural and current to today's internet, and written as if the jokes or references to it are 10 years behind. Sure, some of the things like the credit stands and the fans of the show being overly concerned with how you're perceived online, that's all still relevant, but it's just missing something that truly reflects the internet culture today. I'd suggest for writing on season 3 that they shift their focus to the most current trends and find unique ways to poke fun and have fun at the expense of the medium so the viewers are in on these jokes. Maybe shift some of the focus to streamers specifically like on Twitch. Maybe even incorporate things on the screen rather than just the live count, but like comments from a live chat who are watching. These may seem like little things, but I feel could go a long way to show that the show understands the evolution of time for this space. I made a video last year about how the original iCarly came at a crucial time in online content creation, truly being there as the rise was starting, but now I just want to see these efforts in a new age of the internet not feel as dated as they do in the show. Look, I'm not a show writer, I'm not claiming to be, and nor am I telling them how to make the show. These are just some ideas that I have that I think could help the process of making the best updated version of the show as possible. I could be dead wrong, but it's the main thing I'd have to say that was most notable for me this season. My other wants would be to see these characters have more concrete overall goals. Sure, it's a sitcom set up like a sitcom and plays out like one. We'll just jump in and out of these people's lives day to day and see the wacky things that they're getting into. But one thing we keep seeing in both seasons, and definitely a bit more focused in season 2, is that they are being set up to do things. Carly trying to figure out her relevance in the internet space she's in and wants to grow, have fun and make something that her audience would love. Freddy now has his new Kevin app venture and a girlfriend to help get his life back on track from the rut he was in last season. Harper, while flickering in and out of her creative struggles, knows that she wants to prove herself in the fashion world. And Spencer, well, he may not have the most focused story, but he does want to keep that creative spark within him. A bit of the arts he's known for and trying new things he's never done. We have these setups that season 1 alluded to and now season 2 has planted further, but to make these stories more compelling for the characters, to elevate their plots to something more than your average sitcom episode, I feel these things need to move a bit further. Not for the sake of doing something different, but for the sake that they naturally need to progress. Carly needs to be more in tune with the space that she's in, really needing to understand how the show would need to grow for her to reclaim the success that she wants from the show, instead of always being the story of, oh, iCarly, I used to watch that web show, I wonder if they're still around. Make them know you're around. The story of a legacy content creator coming back after a long break, building themselves back up in a world that's changed, is compelling and seems more focused for her character to follow that storyline. Freddy's fatherhood felt more natural this season, and his relationship with Millicent is greatly improved. We need to continue furthering his arc that he's on, between him and his daughter, his girlfriend, his mom, and now his app. It would be nice to fully see him get back on his feet some way, somehow. We get some glimpses this season where he almost moved out of the building to be on his own with just his daughter and his girlfriend, but it was ultimately held back. Every time we get some momentum with Freddy, I feel we hit that invisible wall that limits his character to fully find himself. He is written better this season though, so I am just happy that he isn't treated as sideline and as the butt of the joke like he was last season. Harper, they have her path set a lot more this season, and it was nice to see. Her development felt natural and it had structure. The only time it lost focus was for the purpose of her to learn confidence in herself and the fashion designing talent she has. So kudos for how she was handled. Spencer this season felt like he was going for something bigger than him. Rather than the weird sculptures and artwork he would make in the past, he wanted to put his creativity into other ventures, leading him to purchase the groovy smoothie and turn it into Shay What, which does get mistaken for an art installation, which, while he does feel forced to play into that for a critic, you can tell it hurts him that he is only looked at as someone doing one thing and the others can't take him seriously when he truly wants to do something new. I'd love for him to further explore his own passions. It's an open door for that hangout spot that most sitcoms have. Like last season it was the fake Starbucks, and this season it slowly becomes Shay What. So I'm excited to see how this all plays out. Now, I haven't really brought up Millicent in this section since she's just, well, there this season. While she does have some small plot focus points in episodes relating to just her, she really just ends up playing support for Freddy, which is fine, as her character felt less antagonistic as season 1 and more of someone trying to grow up faster, often not relating to kids her own age, something we did see a glimpse of in season 1 that is just elevated here for her sideline story. And I'm not sure where they're exactly going to take her story, but I'm sure there's a way to naturally incorporate her more next season. This season also trimmed the fat a bit, with season 2 being 10 episodes rather than the 13 season 1 had, feeling like there was less room for random non sequiturs leading us into stuff that goes absolutely nowhere. Now it's just making sure that we don't have episodes that completely pause the momentum of the show. I'd say overall that season 2 had mostly every episode firing off in the right direction. While the growth of the characters didn't hit as hard as it could have, I think all 10 episodes were still pretty great for what the show needed. The show itself has found a voice that stands out, but going beyond this, it needs to continue discovering its reason for truly coming back. It has the perfect setup for it. It is feeling more and more for the adults who watched the original show when they were younger. It just needs to keep evolving to hit every perfect note. The legacy the original show had gives this show its credibility to come back. But show me the reason you deserve to be back. Why are you back? That's the difference between a cash in on an existing property and a purposeful revival. And also, if you're wondering, yes, it still heavily relies and expects you to have seen the original show and to be familiar with a lot of iCarly to join in on the fun. Yeah, sure, you could still watch it without all that, but I can only imagine that a lot of it wouldn't work for you if that's the case. It's a weird new age issue to be in, but hey, time will tell how this works out, and I hope it's for the best. But as far as my thoughts on season 2, that's really it. I thought it was an incredible step up from season 1, and I look forward to season 3 and beyond. I love spending time with these characters and their dynamics together as adults. It still blows my mind that this thing even exists, but I am glad for the team making something like this happen and for taking the feedback they received to make the best possible season 2 that they could. So make sure to let me know in the comments your thoughts on season 2 of the show. How do you feel about it compared to season 1, and what would you like to see for season 3? But for now, thanks so much for watching and being patient for this video. I truly do appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll be back soon with another video, but until then, later.